It was in the early days of May 2023 when Hadgu Fitui and his friends crossed into the Ethiopian border from Sudan in Western Tigray. Hadgu alongside his friends were caught by the Amhara forces who have invaded the land during the war in Tigray immediately after they crossed the border. Hadgu faced the severe atrocities in underground and net-rest prison renowned for the killing of many Tigrayans in Humara, a former administrative capital of Western Tigray. We met Hadgu and 40 others who were forcibly deported to northwestern Tigray in Abai IDP's camp, where Hadgu stated the times he spent in the prison in Humara were the deadliest in his life.
They hate me. They wanted me to admit things I've never done, but I can't. How can one confess things he has not committed? They wanted me to confess I am TPLF spy. They tied my hands back for a days. For your surprise, we went to toilet barefoot. It's easy to narrate it now, but the pain is unforgettable.
Hadgu left Sudan 2 days after the onset of the war. He tried to get back to his hometown, assuming all is well after the signing of the peace deal. He now doesn't even believe he stayed alive, agonizing the torture in the brutal hands of Amhara forces.
I've drank my urine for 17 days, assuming it would heal my amoeba. There was a plant called neem. I also mashed and ate that. I was almost dead. There was no medication there.
Another prisoner who was detained in the same prison also recalled the moment when Hadgu was between life and death, struggling to survive.
He was sick for 17 days, drinking his own urine. There was literally nobody to treat him. Finally, he lacked the energy to move. He started confessing. He begged us to let his families know about his whereabouts if he dies. Fortunately, he's alive now.
He also said the situation is more threatening to the Tigrayans who are still residing in Western Tigray, saying that Tigrayans are taken into a net-rest camp administrated by a renowned police officer for his torture, Kasahun, in the event of they say they are Tigrayans or speak in their mother tongue in Tigrinya.
They say we would be in prison for 3 days, but they don't spare you. Once you're in, they just detain every Tigray, including those who were returned from Sudan after the peace deal. There is no investigation. Once you're in, there is no out. If you are accused of being Tigray, let alone investigation, nobody is allowed to visit you. Those who are left in the prisons are hopeless now, and the rest of the people in Western Tigray live under grave terror. They would be jailed anytime.
41 prisoners, including a mother with her daughter, were released on the 24th of August and deported to Sharara by Amhara forces to reduce the demographic significance of Tigrayans in Western Tigray. We are here in Adabai, IDP's camp in Sharara, northwestern Tigray, where the former detainees who were imprisoned in 6 different prisons in Humara, the administrative capital of Western Tigray, have arrived. They have been detained since May and tortured in prisons until they were forcibly deported last week by Amhara forces. Most of them chose to remain silent in fear of retaliation on their family members who are still suffering in the hands of Amhara forces in Western Tigray. Amhara forces have been accused of multiple crimes, including ethnic cleansing against ethnic Tigrayans living in Western Tigray. In June of this year, Human Rights Watch reported that the ethnic cleansing campaign continued despite the signing of a peace deal between Ethiopia's federal government and the TPLF. The former detainees also say 10 months into the Pretoria Agreement, the situation in Western Tigray remained the same, exacerbating the human rights condition in the area even worse. Abel Tsagabu, Tigray Television.